Thank you. Thank you all for your patience. Mr. Watson will be joining us via Zoom. And Dr. Hawkins is not here tonight because she's ill. So I have the pleasure of having Dr. Stevenson here. Okay. At this time, Dr. Stevenson will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, there's nothing to report from closed session. Do I have a motion to, is Matt on? Sorry, we're going to bring Mr. Watson up. Okay, can you hear us?
Got you loud and clear. Thank you so much, Madam President.
Thanks. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda for March 14th, 2023?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thanks. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the agenda for Pi Day is approved. Yes, I'm a nerd, sorry. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of the governing board for February 28th, 2023?
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Okay, now we're going to recognize some very special students for the PBIS Certificates of Excellence. Mrs. Berries or Mr. Clement or both?
It is Mrs. Bears tonight.
All right.
Students in the audience, I'm really excited about this award. If you have your certificate and you are being recognized for an award tonight, can you please come up front, right up here? We'll line you all up. And if you are in the audience, if you could raise your hand and Mr. Heinlein will find you. Come on, right up here. Got your certificate. Fantastic. Awesome. Again, if you are in the virtual audience, raise your hand and Mr. Heinlein will find you. I'm really excited tonight because the students that you see before you have been nominated for our PBIS Excellence Award. And the students in front of you are role model citizens. They make excellent behavioral choices. And also you hear tonight about how they're leaders at their school community. So it looks like there may be one student in the audience. We have our kiddos up here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and begin. Our first student from Bridgeport in the 4th grade is Alicia Lee. Alicia is an exemplary student who always gives her best effort in everything she does. Oh, I forgot to say, when I say your name, if you just step forward or give a little wave, and that way we know who you are. So I'll start over. Alicia Lee.
Good job.
Perfect. Alicia is an exemplary student who always gives her best and effort in everything she does. She's observant and kind, always looking for quiet ways to help others around her. She is friendly, creative, respectful, and curious. She is new to Bridgeport this year, but has quickly made friends and makes our school an even better place to be. Congratulations. From Cedar Creek in 5th grade, I have Janet Morales. Janet is a kind-hearted scholar who advocates for others. She is quick to lend a helping hand. Most recently, she has been helping a classmate who injured her foot by walking with her to the office and even spending time with her during recess. Congratulations, Janet. From Charles Helmers in 5th grade, I have Jasmine McNeil. Jasmine is a kind and thoughtful young lady. She is inclusive and accepting to all students. Jasmine embodies a Helmer's Husky as she has respect, owns her actions, works to succeed, and leads with kindness. Staff and students alike are grateful for her example to all. Congratulations. From Emblem Academy in kindergarten, we have Japjot Singh. Japjot has the kindest heart. He's an all-around scholarly learner as well as a master of public speaking. He shines. Congratulations. I also have another kinder, Travis Aquin from Highlands. Travis demonstrates exemplary work habits and behavior. He consistently meets behavioral expectations in the classroom and on the playground. He's always kind, caring, and respectful. Travis is a good friend to all his classmates. He has a heart of gold and is an absolute pleasure to have in class. Congratulations. From James Foster in 6th grade, I have Kyra Moran. Kyra has done an amazing job of supporting our PBIS student store this year. She shows great leadership, creativity, and works very hard to help our students in the classroom. Kyra is an exemplary student and is a great friend to her classmates. She gives effort in everything she does, encourages, challenges, is responsible and trustworthy. It's an absolute pleasure having her as a student. Congratulations. From Mountain View, I have Erin Pizarn-Wangs. I hope I said that correctly. In 2nd grade. Erin is the recipient of Mountain View's PBIS Certificate of Excellence. There are numerous reasons why he's deserving of this award, but here are a few to keep it short. Not only does he exemplify pride at Mountain View each and every day, he consistently demonstrates scholarly and responsible behavior while in the classroom, but he's beloved by his friends for his positive attitude, honesty, kindness, and integrity. He remains true to the pillars of pride in every environment while at school. Erin, though in 2nd grade, has developed a deep commitment to learning, academic success, and citizenship, and shows maturity beyond his peers. I'm so glad to be celebrating him and his achievement today. Congratulations. Next up from North Park in 5th grade is Logan Derdarian. Logan is a kind-hearted student and is a good role model. He follows all school-wide expectations and looks for ways to help other students and adults whenever possible. When there are problems, he finds solutions and is diligent to keep trying until the issue is resolved. Even when things are difficult, he perseveres and continues to try his best in all areas. Congratulations to Logan for receiving the North Park PBIS Certificate of Excellence. From Plum Canyon in kindergarten, I have Tegan Purdy. Tegan is an outstanding citizen. She always looks on the bright side and can put a positive spin on anything. Tegan is respectful to her friends and adults at school. She's courageous and will speak up for herself and her friends when she knows something is unfair or wrong. She strives to do her very best and does not give up when things are hard. Tegan is a good friend to all. She can always be counted on to do the right thing and be responsible. Tegan is an excellent example of pride at Plum Canyon Elementary School. Congratulations. From Rio Vista in 2nd grade, I have Selena Arab. Selena is a great role model for other students. She exemplifies the idea of soaring for Rio Vista by always being safe, taking ownership, and having a positive attitude and showing respect. During the first trimester this year, she earned 140 SOAR tickets for demonstrating these positive behavior traits, far more than any other student in school. She's kind and respectful to everyone. She leads by her excellent example and her positive attitude, and shows in her positive smile and willingness to be accepting to students and adults alike. Selena, we're proud that you're a Rio Vista rocket. Congratulations. From Rosedale in fourth grade, I have Owen Bartlett. Owen Bartlett best exemplifies and models positive behavioral choices. He's an honest and very caring young man who demonstrates what a kind person does in and out of the classroom. He assists his peers and teachers without seeking recognition and quietly demonstrates the courage to make positive choices. He encourages his peers to follow school rules and teacher directions to help our classroom and school run smoothly. Owen is a kind-hearted leader who respects and gets along with everyone at all times. All in all, he's an excellent role model for his peers and deserving of this award. Congratulations. From Santa Clarita in second grade, I have Bianca Guzman. Bianca is very deserving of this award. She's always showing her 3 R's throughout the school day. She's respectful to her friends and teachers, responsible with her time and materials, and ready to learn every single day by being attentive and always trying her best. Bianca, thank you for always being responsible, respectful, and ready to learn. Keep shining. Congratulations. From Sky Blue Mesa, I have Emily Liu in 6th grade. It has been my pleasure to get to know Emily this school year. Not only has she made tremendous growth, she has helped me be a better teacher and person. Emily is intellect, an out-of-the-box thinker. She has worked very hard this year, specifically this past trimester in the area of PBIS. Emily has proved herself into making positive choices, even in situations that may have been more of a challenge in the past, in order to be her best self, and this has helped her blossom. Whether these positive choices are outside on the yard or in the classroom, it does not matter. She's applied a positive attitude. It is so fun to see her take initiative and join teams at PE or recess time as well as the classroom. I have no doubt that Emily will be able to continue in the next chapter of her education in junior high and beyond. Congratulations, Emily. From Tesoro, I have Courtney Curtis in 3rd grade. Courtney is a wonderful representative of PBIS. She's a role model for others, her respectful demeanor, and she's always has a positive attitude towards learning and her classmates. She is kind, on task, and consistently responsible with tasks and classroom tools. Courtney is truly a gem and demonstrates what it means to be a proud Tesoro Tiger. Congratulations. From West Creek in 6th grade, I have Pakia Lakshmi Ramalingam. Pakia Lakshmi exemplifies a student who shows excellent in PBIS. She's thoughtful in her interactions with others and seeks out ways to help everyone she meets. In addition, she serves on West Creek's PBIS student leadership team and helps supports all students in PBIS. She demonstrates what it means to be safe, be respectful, and be responsible every day. And we are proud to have her at West Creek Academy. Congratulations. Okay, students, I'm gonna ask, it's now paparazzi time. If you guys can squish together a little bit more, we're gonna have time to take pictures. A little bit more, buddy. Closer. Thank you, Monica. Parents, you can come up and take pictures.
going now.
Okay. All right, let's give everybody a big round of applause. Students, you can find your seats with your parents, but the school board would like to say a few words. And I'm going to turn it back to you, Ms. Cooper.
Thank you. Mrs. Grace.
Hi, everyone. Congratulations to all of the kids today. Really great achievements. I wrote down a couple of words that stood out in terms of what your peers and principals were saying. Being kind, being an advocate, leadership, being encouraging, demonstrating responsible behavior, integrity, helping others, being a problem solver, and being courageous, all great qualities to have so young. And I know those qualities will take you guys very far. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Love.
Congratulations to all of our winners tonight. I echo what my colleague Miss Grease said. We heard some really wonderful things about you, and it was really exciting to hear how all of you are really exemplifying friendship and not just your own individual self having positive behavior at school, but also setting the example and being leaders for your peers and helping show your classmates how is the best way to interact and behave and be inclusive and be helpful and kind. Really wonderful job. And I know all your families and parents are so proud. We're so proud of you. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all of our award recipients this evening. As my colleagues have said, we've heard a lot of great things about what you guys are accomplishing in school right now. The most important thing I heard is how you are all such great role models for your classmates. So I want to say thank you to all of you for being such great role models. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Watson, I want to let you know your microphone's on.
Yeah, well, I turned it on for a reason. Thank you very much. So congratulations to all of you. I'm so very proud of all of the hard work and effort that you've put into your leadership. We heard words about all of your leadership tonight, and I just wanted to remind you all, leadership entails two very important things: being able to manage yourself and being able to inspire others. And you're doing that. We're so very proud of you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, kids. I heard the words kindness over and over, which is just wonderful. We all need more kindness. I think my favorite phrase was owns her actions. So, take control of your life. And you guys are all setting a great example, not only for the students around you, but for all of us as well. So thank you. And thank you to the parents for coming out and spending the time with us tonight and for raising great kids. And I want to offer the cabinet a chance to say something to you as well. Mr. Clement.
Just want to congratulate everyone, especially hearing that word kind and kindness everywhere. It's nice to see that we have such kind people in our community and in our schools. And it's good to see us adults all modeling that behavior as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Berries.
Again, I want to congratulate all of the award recipients tonight. I think what's most impressive is not only did I hear great things about how you behave, but how you inspire and help others to do the same thing. I think one of the comments about the students is they even help adults on campus manage their own expectations and behavior. So again, congratulations and keep up the great work. And thank you, parents.
Thank you, Mr. Heinlein.
Well, I think kind little people come from kind big people. So I want to just thank everyone for being kind and good to each other.
Thank you, Dr. Stevenson.
Well, it's always hard to go last because what everyone has said has already been said. So congratulations, boys and girls. It has, we're so proud of you, and for all of you, being leaders and being inspirations, to your peers and parents. Thank you for, your dedication to your kids and raising great children.
Thank you all again for coming out. We're going to take a short break now and let you all take pictures, and then we'll reconvene in about 10 minutes. You're good. Okay, we are back in session at 7:01. Thank you all for joining us again. Okay, now we head to public comments. Advance written requests to address the board regarding agenda and non-agenda items, board bylaws 9320, 9322, and 9323. Each speak to the process used by the governing board to allow for public comment during its meetings that is in compliance with the Brown Act and other applicable law. Board bylaw 9323 specifically outlines the process for members of the public to address the governing board on agenda and non-agenda items that are within its subject matter jurisdiction. Members of the public wishing to address the governing board are asked to do the following prior to the start of the public comment section of the meeting agenda to ensure that appropriate time is allotted to all interested speakers and topics. The speaker must either complete a speaker card for each item they desire to speak on and/or notify the assistant to the superintendent of each item. This notification is requested to allow the board president to consistently implement public comment guidelines provided in board bylaw 9323. I'm not going to talk about the time because we're not going to go over on the time. Members of the public wishing to make public comment via telephone or virtual meeting software must notify the assistant to the superintendent via email not later than 4:30 p.m. on the day of the scheduled meeting to ensure that the person has the same opportunity to address the board under bylaw 9323 as those who are in attendance. Members of the public may also submit written comments to be included in the meeting minutes and distributed to the governing board members prior to the meeting by sending an email to the assistant to the superintendent. Also by 4:30 on the day of the scheduled meeting. Please remember that state law prevents the board from acting on any matter not listed on the agenda or from discussing any such matter in detail. Okay, so our first speaker is Ms. Suvani Cowie. And while she's coming out, I'm going to call the next two so they can be on deck. Matt Funicello and Grant and Laura Bremer. And Suvani, you have 3 minutes on item 5A. She'll do the timer and then we'll just do your next card immediately after.
If I just do it all in one go, is that what you're saying? I can just speak on both items on my speaker card at one time?
Yeah, just try to keep the one in, within 3 minutes and then let us know when you switch topics.
Both will be under 3 minutes, I think.
Okay. Okay.
I'm so sorry about the confusion. Thank you. Thank you, cabinet, board, stakeholders. I'd like to speak about an agenda item, about the health-related matters, and a non-agenda item I had spoken about. I was not able to touch on my previous appearance at the school board meeting. I was hopeful Ms. Greaves would have learned about parliamentary procedure and the Brown Act violations. She continues to speak to stakeholders and disseminate information as a board member, as a voice of the board via her official board Facebook page. I'm hoping she stops and reflects that speaking in her capacity as a board member to board-related matters on her official Facebook channel is not lawful. I'm hopeful she'll read Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Procedure and that Ms. Greaves takes all this in to be a better board member to all of her constituents, whether it be through educational classes, seminars, or listening to people with knowledge about the situation. The echo chamber that she currently resides in is not helpful to her nor to the stakeholders in our community. Ms. Greaves does not seem to want to back down about her Facebook and all of its Brown Act violations. If Ms. Greaves continues to be this outlier and place the district at further risk, I would hope that maybe there could be board action to either sanction or censure her. We all want our district and our children to succeed, and to say otherwise would be self-destructive and counterintuitive. Okay. And then now on to my agenda item. Policy updated to reflect the 2019 state curriculum reflects law which authorizes districts to provide age-appropriate comprehensive sexual health education prior to grade 7, a law which authorizes instruction in grades K through 12 in sexual abuse, sexual assault awareness, and prevention, provided students are allowed to be excused from such instruction with a written request of the parent guardian. I understand that this will cause a fervor among a small and vocal subset of parents within our district. Although I feel that since our children are exposed to so many educational subjects earlier, we should make them also aware of their bodies. Noting proper naming conventions will decrease the stigma that happens around things like menstrual cycle and puberty. No child should be made to feel unsure of themselves and the occurrences to their body. Ideally, a parent would broach this subject with their children, but many cannot. My parents, for example, were immigrants, and they were not able to help me navigate this as a child growing up. I lived in 2 different worlds, one amongst my elementary peers in English and another one amongst my parents where we spoke Lao and Thai and Cambodian. Looking back now, I am so grateful for the support I had at school to help me better incorporate myself amongst my fellow students. My teacher answered any and all questions I had and helped me be the best version of myself. I'm thankful for those teachers, the support system that advised me to things my parents could not vocalize in a way that I was able to understand. This is why elementary education and its best practices are so important. It is the foundation for further success. Can I
Do
finish my?
you need more time? Yeah, she has about a minute and a half left on the second
Okay,
subject.
Thanks. I am grateful that the Saugus Union School District is looking to implement measures to provide age-appropriate instruction if the parent permits. So you're giving parents a choice in this aspect, and those that say otherwise have not read the policy. And I would also like to, that's it. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Funicello.
Would it be possible if I do the same thing with her, just piggyback my comments together? It won't go over 4 minutes, I promise.
Did you have 2? Oh, you do have 2.
Yes,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, ma'am. Hello, my name is Matt Funicello. I'm a Saugus parent. I'm here to talk about special education, specifically the RAP program. It's a vital resource for students with autism, their families, and the community at large, and it deserves our support, our funding, and protection. I have personal interest in this program as my wonderful wife, Misty, is an education specialist at Emblem Academy, teaching children with moderate to severe autism and has been with RAP since 2014. Misty has a very big and special heart and absolutely loves her job, especially the kids, as does every SPED teacher and paraeducator in RAP. However, they are trying to do so much with so little. The funding for RAP and special education as a whole is very limited. And while I understand that the district is doing what they can with your limited budget and funds from the county and state, however, I wonder if there's more that you can do. My wife and other staff members have to deal with an immensely large challenge teaching these children. My wife sometimes comes home covered in bruises, bright bite marks. She's had to come home and change clothes after having feces thrown at her or had sick children vomit on her. With all this, my wife and her fellow SPED teachers and paraeducators not only continue to come to work, but they come to work with the warmest of smiles and hearts filled with love for their students, and they can't imagine doing anything else. Autism rates in the United States are not only high, but they're growing. The need to not only support RAP, but to grow it and expand the funding and personnel is more important now than ever. There could be things that the district can do to not only hire new SPED teachers and paraeducators, but also retain the ones that we have. For example, for some reason, after paying for her master's degree, paying the state a certification fee, now my wife has to pay an induction fee of $4,000 to the district. As a sign of good faith, the district should consider waiving this fee, or at the very least reimbursing the teacher that fee after achieving tenure, as some other districts do. The board and the superintendent must also change the student to teacher ratio back to what it was before she took over, which was 2 to 1. Now it's 3, 4, or even 5 to 1. Anyone in that program will tell you that it's way too high, negatively impacts the students greatly, even going as far as holding children with mild autism back from being accompanied to general ed because the staffing levels prevent that and they keep them where they are. RAP is more than just a program that benefits students, it benefits the entire community. By providing special education and support, RAP helps students reach their full potential to become active and engaged members of the community, and also raises awareness of autism and promotes acceptance and understanding of individuals with it. Funding cuts and budget constraints have put this program in jeopardy, and without our support and protection, this vital resource may be lost. It's up to us as a community to ensure that the RAP program receives the funding and the support it needs from the district and the community to continue providing high-quality education and support to students with autism and their families. We as a community need to band together and show our support for the staff, but more importantly, we need to show these children and their families that they are loved, wanted, and respected. Thank you. The other thing I just wanted to touch on is my support for Mrs. Anna Grease. I really find it very disheartening that the public, and more importantly, the fellow board members, are treating her as if she's been on this board for 2 years. She's been on this board relatively a short period of time, maybe 3-4 months at that, and she's still learning. I think anybody would appreciate the fact that there's a learning curve, and mistakes can be made sometimes at at any given time. But what does it say behind us? Respect, integrity, learning. She's capable of all of that and more. I know that personally. So I would ask that instead of treating her as a virus or shunning her by the board members, I ask that the board members treat her with some respect and dignity and maybe teach her instead of ignore her. And I'd ask maybe if the community would also do the same. Everybody's capable of learning from their mistakes. Let's give her that chance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Funicello. Okay, Grant and Laura Bremer are next, and they will be followed by Rebecca Heineman and Martha Aguilera.
Good evening, Saugus Union School Board. My name is Grant Bremer, and I come before you. My wife's sitting in the audience. She has a hard time coming up here to public speak in front of you, so I'm the one coming to speak with you. I've had 3 children come through the Saugus Union School District, 1 8th grader. I have 1 in 5th grade and 1 that's currently in kindergarten right now. My wife and I also have an education background. We grew up in after-school programs. I directed preschool programs for several years before I moved on into my later career. I come to you today with a major issue that we are having and more parents are having with our kindergarten program at Mountain View Elementary program. To say the least, it's an extremely chaotic environment. Every day, my son doesn't want to go to school. He came from a 4-year-old environment, 3-year-old and 4-year-old environment where he joined a love for schooling, a love to want to go to school, a love to learn. Now he simply cannot and does not want to go to school. We try everything to make schooling exciting for him, and he doesn't want to go. And why doesn't he want to go? There's simply just a chaotic classroom environment. There is a child in there that hits and kicks. There's a child in there that uses inappropriate language all the time. There's a child in there that is constantly screaming and crying. And my son puts his hands over his ears and can't take that environment. It's been such a problem. We've worked with the teacher. We've worked with the administration. My wife wrote an email to Dr. Hawkins, earlier this week, which she hasn't responded to. So we're just kind of at a loss. We're trying to get a good, healthy environment for our son and for the rest of the parents in that classroom. And the answers that we've gotten from the administration is to limiting parent helpers in the classroom, ignoring a lot of the behavioral issues. If we were told as parents, if we ignore the negative issue, it will go away. If things will get better as the school year goes on. Things have not. They've progressively gotten worse. It's not a good learning environment for our son and for the children at the beginning of their learning experience as they're growing to adults. We recently took our son to a psychiatrist, and now he's diagnosed with anxiety. He doesn't want to go to school, and it's heartbreaking as a parent to see that and to see the other children just in disarray of such a bad learning experience. And I know Miss Michelle Berries has been in the classroom to see just the environment. We're asking for just more help. By limiting parents in the classroom, it's not helping that learning environment. Also, by not having the appropriate aids in the classroom, the children aren't thriving. For one, the teacher is struggling to try and get the curriculum and teach the kids. For two, the children who are having issues in the classroom aren't being addressed and dealt with in a positive way. And for 3, the other children who don't have the same developmental issues aren't getting a learning environment. And they're not even meeting a lot of the basic needs that they need to learn things. So please just thank you for taking my time to listen to me today. And I would appreciate if you would look into my concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bremer. Rebecca Heineman.
Good evening, board. My name is Rebecca Heineman. I'm here today to address the board, but mostly Ms. Grease. First, Ms. Grease, I would really like for you to think about how you would feel if your child was publicly outed for their behavior on a board, a school district level, as well as in a public newspaper. Just think about that for a moment. As a parent of a child with special needs, I know exactly how that feels, and it's alienating. Second, it has come to my attention that if you have had communications within the board that could have potentially violated the Brown Act, and this was brought to your attention in the email records that I have been given, it shows that you truly lack any basic knowledge of how a school board works and what is expected. I know that you received training, but it does not help. It does not appear that it have helped. You continue to have a Facebook profile that states you are a board member, and it can be construed that you are speaking for the board in your posts and responses. This is irresponsible. So I have a list of things you should become acquainted with. First, your oath of office. Second, the Saugus Union website, where you can find the board bylaws, the California bylaws, and the federal bylaws. SELPA, Special Education Plan Area, you should meet with them. They're local. They can help you. FERPA, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, the Brown Act, and the Roberts Rules. If you feel that this is too much or you are unable to abide by these laws or regulations that are national, state, and local, then I request that you step down so that someone who can uphold their oath and duties to these constituents, teachers, staff, students can be found. Third and final issue, your Facebook posts for tonight, that if you'd taken a little time, state guidelines, federal guidelines, district guidelines, answer many of those issues for you. Parental involvement is already here. It takes time. Just read the rules. The answers are there. For example, a lot of the information for the rules and restrictions are actually in the board guidelines for what can be found in a classroom, as well as student privacy. It's in the board guidelines and the state rules and laws. If you're expecting others to teach you or have others do your work for you, that is not what we expect of a board member. We expect you to do the research, to do the work that all of us parents do, to learn how this is supposed to work, how to navigate the system. Trust me, I spent hours navigating the system for an autistic child so that he could have success. And I am proud to say that my son is an adult living on his own, holding a job, because I learned about the system and how it worked. I didn't have someone hold my hand. So please do the work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Heineman. Martha Aguilera.
Okay, this isn't working. Good evening. My name is Martha. I'm a parent in the, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I'm a parent in the community. I don't have a child at Saugus Unified. I did, but also neither do most of you. So I think we are all qualified to be here because we care about our students. I just want to say that I am here tonight because I need to point something out that it is an embarrassment. The fact that this whole exposure of a situation that could have been potentially dangerous or traumatizing, even traumatizing to other children, turned into an attack on a specific child. I also want to point out that the people on social media that gave private information about additional information about the child, about the program, about the school, and about everything else were actually the people defending this particular child's privacy. It is a diluted notion that you guys think that it is okay to hide things from the rest of the parents in the interest of to protect the privacy of one single child, when in reality, nobody asked any questions about that child. I have a right as a parent, and every parent here has a right to know if their child was exposed to something that could have been dangerous or traumatizing. And there is a history of non-transparency within this district. And as I've uncovered more and more things, and you guys have received some of my public records requests, I have uncovered things relating to depositions in October of 2018 and a long list of assaults that occurred from children that need additional care and need additional attention. This is not an attack on them. This is a demand for the protection of the rest of the kids that don't have the same developmental issues, to have a safe environment and parents that can teach them empathy, that can teach them support. This is not a witch hunt on children that need additional support. This is protection. You guys talk about social and emotional learning, and it doesn't just apply to where you want it to apply to. We as parents have a right to know so that we can talk to our children and teach them empathy and understand that not all children have the same, learning capabilities. And sometimes we need more patience and we need more grace, but we never know about it because you guys never tell us. You guys are consistently hiding things. I have documentation from parents that have left the district whose children experienced physical assaults, nosebleeds, incident reports that just magically disappeared or that were never even taken. Depositions with your district, with the attorney for your district, where parents have testified about particular students and how it affected their own children, just dismissed and swept under the rug. So please stop acting like this was an attack. You guys in October also of last year did a thing where you told which school has which program for which kind of disabled child. So it is not that the information wasn't already out there and that it wasn't already from you guys. So saying that Anna Grease was responsible for the attack on a child is a complete misguided way of flipping the narrative around, because that's what we like to do. You have to turn it into an attack in order to hide behind the fact that you, again, didn't disclose something to the parents. I am a mom. These people are parents. We have a right to know what goes on with our own children if they experience something dangerous or traumatizing. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mrs. Aguilera. We have a request from someone on Zoom. Mrs. Gerson, if you're there, can you raise your hand? And Mr. Heinlein will bring you up as a panelist. Mrs. Gerson, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I think I'm having some issues over here. Sorry, that's a picture of me and my kids.
That's fine. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Shannon Gerson, and I'm an SUSD parent. I wanted to start off on a positive note, just saying how proud I am of our SUSD schools, specifically my own kids' school, which is Mountain View. To our staff, to our teachers, to our principal, thank you for all that you do. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I'm a mom to IEP students, and we have had such a wonderful experience there. So I just wanted to share that positivity. And then to our board members, Cassandra Love, Christopher Trunke, Matthew Watson, Catherine Cooper, Superintendent Dr. Hawkins, and Cabinet, thank you for your commitment to our wonderful children and being an example of clear communication, careful consideration, knowledge, respect, and true compassion. You are so appreciated, and I'm very grateful to be a parent of such a well-functioning school district. I was hopeful that new board member Anna Grease would display some remorse after her January 31st board report, where she disclosed embellishments about a child's bad day, where she disclosed this child's school, where she disclosed this child's specific special education program. I was hopeful that Anna Grease would issue an apology, as well as a statement to SUSD families that would help put families at ease, assuring that all children are safe from public gossip and public speculation, that all children's privacy is respected and valued, that special education children are supported, welcomed, and very loved. Unfortunately, it would seem that Anna Grease has no intent to take accountability for her actions. I do understand that mistakes can be made, but issuing an apology is a very simple task and would truly send a positive message to help our community move forward from this. I made a public comment on February 14th in which I asked the board for Anna Grease to be censured. While I applaud the board for using your individual report time to denounce Anna Grease's actions, I and many others still seek a formal resolution. I wish this to be added as an agenda item, and I still request that Anna Grease be formally censured for her actions on January 31st and her unprofessional behavior that has followed. I also request that Anna Grease attend additional training in regards to better understanding our special education programs. Lastly, I request that Anna Grease further be educated on procedure and board protocols. I'm hopeful that this will aid in decreasing future risk of district liability in legal dispute. And I'm also optimistic that my request will motivate and encourage Anna Grease to become a more compassionate and informed representative for all SUSD children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Gerson. Now we move on to the Saugus Teachers Association, Ms. Samantha Ford.
Good evening, trustees and cabinet. Congratulations to our PBIS award winners. Thank you for exhibiting leadership and strong character traits. Happy Pi Day. Every year, Pi Day is observed on March 14th. The event falls on this specific date because the first three digits of Pi are 3, 1, and 4. In 2009, the U.S. House of Representatives officially recognized the date as a national celebration. And we celebrated with Pi today in our department. Thank you to our IT and Ed Services Department for beginning the flat panel installation. Our teachers are excited to have the new boards. Our teachers are busy working on report cards and preparing for upcoming parent conferences. Last Saturday, our unit participated with the HR department in the teacher recruitment job fair. We are excited to see so many great new candidates, and we were happy we were by the front door so we could steal them as they came in. Anyway, that was a side note. We are looking forward to I was happy. Okay. We are looking forward to our next LMI event on May 5th. We are sad that Mr. Bland won't be there, but we wish him well in his new position. Finally, we would like to congratulate all the teacher tribute nominees. Congratulations to Shelley Dolder, Jacqueline Hines, Elizabeth Ketterall, Megan Bean, Kimberly Harada, Jessica Smith, Caitlin Hatchett, Elizabeth Mills, Jennifer Agendawaka, Lisa Jensen, Aaron Wiseman, Christine Walston, Christine Denny, Heather Michelson, and our very own Christine Ivy. Thank you.
Thank you. California School Employees Association. Do we have a representative? I don't see Delmy. There's no one here tonight. Okay, thank you. All right, Saugus Administrators Association, Ms. Merle Soni.
Good evening. I just want to say this is my first time and I'm very excited. Good evening, Governing Board and Cabinet. My name is Merle Soni and I'm the proud principal of Cedar Creek Elementary. It is my privilege to address the board on behalf of the Saugus Administrators Association. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate our students who were recognized tonight for the PBIS Certificate of Excellence. What an honor it is to celebrate our students who consistently meet the behavioral expectations at their sites. I heard kind, thoughtful, respectful, and many other character traits that are aligned with our PBIS expectations. We are extremely proud of each and every one of them for leading this work. Last week was School Social Worker Week. We would like to take a moment to express how much we appreciate all the work the school social workers do alongside their administrators. The School Social Work Association of America said it best. School social workers do not work for the praise. They do work with excellence because they value the students, families, schools, and communities they serve. We are thankful for all that they do for the students, staff, and our communities. In addition, school principals have collaborated together to provide cohesive and comprehensive school safety plans. With the assistance of Barbara Tapia, we have worked together to have site safety plans that address the needs and concerns of our schools. Once the plan is created, we review it with our school site council, ELAC, PTA, and parent community at large. Of course, we also work to ensure that all staff members are trained on the components included in the plan. We trust you will find the consistency and collaboration across our school sites to add credibility and clarity to the plans as you review them. Student engagement has never been more important in education. It has been so nice to be able to do the activities and events that we used to do pre-pandemic and incorporate new ones. Each one of our sites is working on student engagement, whether it is through SEL lessons, PBIS, or effective-based practices. At Cedar Creek, our focus has been capitalizing on student strengths, including, but not limited to, academic background, life experiences, culture, and language, and applying this knowledge to meet their individual needs. We cultivate leadership by giving students ownership of their school. The Green Team, for example, beautifies our school by working as a team to make sure students are following the lunch and cafeteria PBIS expectations. They have lunch with the principal once per month to discuss ideas on how we can refine our current system. This group created their own teams and schedules for lunch coverage. They requested green vests and wanted them to say the Green Team on the back. So we purchased them and labeled them too. We also have flag leaders who are in charge of the flag every morning and afternoon. These students were trained by a captain of the fire department on how to properly fold, hold, and hang the flag. Our student council president, alongside with the principal, leads our Monday morning huddle assemblies. At West Creek, students have been soaring with their reading in celebration of Read Across America. Students had the opportunity to earn stickers for reading 100 to 200 minutes for the week. Students showed such enthusiasm and motivation for reaching their minutes that West Creek will continue the opportunities for students to celebrate reading 100, 200, or even more minutes each week, which will take place each time the class visits the library. At Tesoro, they continue to engage students in SEL lessons with community circles that set them up with the social emotional support they need for their learning day. Their student council students help support PBIS expectations by selecting classes that are caught following the expectations. They are excited to see the correlation between the high levels of engagement and academic success. Santa Clarita Elementary prides itself on their Bulldog broadcast, which is led by 6th grade students with the support and guidance of Mr. Cusack. Their student leadership consists of 5th and 6th graders who follow their 3 R's: be respectful, be responsible, be ready to learn. The student leadership team helps with award assemblies, the PBIS store, leading Friday flag, hospitality, and much more. Dr. Villanueva was delighted to share that this school year, every grade level is participating in a field trip thanks to their amazing PTC. It is an honor to be part of the Saugus Union School District family. We pride ourselves in doing whatever it takes to ensure student success. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Soni. Now from the Child Development Programs, Dr. Karen Fractor.
Good evening, board members, cabinet, and community. My name is Karen Fractor, Director of Categorical and Special Programs, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of our Child Development Program. It's almost spring, which means we have lots of CDP registrations coming up. First one is our support we provide students and families on March 31st, which is a non-student day, which will be held at Cedar Creek and West Creek Academy. Thank you to both sites for being such gracious hosts. We will then move into our spring break camp, which will be held at Cedar Creek Elementary the week of April 3rd to 9th. And we have a lot of exciting events and activities planned for our students. This week, we're kicking off information sessions with families, making them aware about the early childhood programs that we offer at Rio Vista, Santa Clarita, and Cedar Creek. My team and I will be joining the school administrators at their coffee with the principal to speak with families about our income eligible preschool we have for 3- and 4-year-old students. We hope to spread the word about these great programs and the benefits it can offer our youngest learners. Meanwhile, our students who are currently in our preschool programs have been busy growing their brains and firing those neurons. With the color green and the month of March being synonymous, our students have become experts on leaves, leprechauns, and especially the concepts of reuse, reduce, and recycle. And I'm sure there are lots of songs they've learned to solidify those concepts into long-term memory. Students have been working on sorting where to place different food items, based on what they're made from and also decide other uses for items like plastic bottles and containers. Lastly, I wanted to share that students in our Cedar Creek and Rio Vista after-school programs begin their enrichment classes this week focused on film and entrepreneurship. Our TK to second graders will take part in the Little Heroes Film Festival program. Students will use pre-cut characters from the Little Heroes children's book and create popsicle stick puppets. They will create unique stories and record these stories using pre-designed backgrounds and props. The culminating event will be a school film festival. The 3rd through 6th graders will participate in the Junior Artrepreneur program that turns young artists into entrepreneurs. They will create custom art projects and learn the business of art. The end of the program will result in a community art show where our junior entrepreneurs will have a vendor's table to showcase their custom artwork. We can't wait to showcase the work they will produce. Thank you again, as always, for your support, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Dr. Fractor. And now from Cedar Creek's Elementary School Site Council, the chair, Ms. Jessica Alexander.
Hi. I am Jessica Alexander, and I am here on behalf of the Cedar Creek Elementary Site Council to commend our school's administration team and the teachers for all of their efforts in working with our students and families to promote class attendance. Our schools and families faced unprecedented challenges with navigating the return to campus following the pandemic. And we would like our Cedar Creek Elementary staff to be recognized for all of the positive efforts they've made in engaging with our students through this process. The Cedar Creek Elementary staff, guided by Principal Soni, have implemented several efforts to promote student attendance this school year, and they are proving helpful in keeping our students engaged and positive about coming to school. Activities have included awards for good and improved attendance, such as dance glow parties, art lessons with the principal, extra recess, and other prizes. They've also included weekly Wednesday Winners program, where students who are at school on Wednesdays enter a raffle, and if their name is drawn, they come to the principal's office to choose a prize. Classes that had 0 absences for the day are also recognized in an announcement on Wednesdays. Positive reinforcement phone calls and parent square messaging to families have also been included, where school administration or teachers contact families to acknowledge their efforts in making sure their student is in school every day, on time, and ready to learn. They've also had staff outreach to engage with families that have student attendance challenges to work together to help remove barriers they may be facing. A perfect example, and one that I've personally appreciated, is given our weather has been extra cold and rainy this year, the Cedar Creek staff have ensured school facilities are open and available upon student arrival every morning so they may stay warm and dry when there is inclement weather. These activities take special effort and dedication by our Cedar Creek Elementary staff, and we appreciate that time and dedication that they give to our community's families. So join me in thanking our Cedar Creek Elementary staff for all they do. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we go on to our superintendent and cabinet reports. Mr. Clement.
All right, good evening, everyone. I do have to explain just the pie comment, the 3.14 that Sam Ford mentioned. We do have some leftovers in the Ed Services Department afterwards, if you're so inclined. There's way too many options. But it was fun, and I think our mathematics teachers on special assignment in our department appreciate the nod towards math. Right, Mr. Business, right? I also want to, on that note, recognize them for their work with our Making Sense of Mathematics initiative. We continue to make great efforts towards learning about the new math framework and preparing for that adoption that will come up shortly. Last week, I was able to attend the iReady symposium in Pasadena, and math was definitely a major focus of that. That program, as we know, is ELA, language arts, and math. But clearly, they're also gearing up for that. So it was interesting to hear some of the authors and some of the people speak, and to hear that we're really headed in the right direction, preparing for that ahead of time. And then lastly, last week, we officially began the installation of our new instructional flat panels. They are installed at Plum Canyon, Cedar Creek, and Rio Vista. So I had a chance to breeze through Rio Vista and Cedar Creek today and got to see some sixth grade teachers learning those flat panels for the first time. And I want to thank my Plum Canyon duo in the back row making faces at me for their enthusiasm for being first and helping us making sure that everything went smoothly. So it's been a great collaboration with business and IT and everyone to make sure that that's going well.
Thank you, Mrs. Berries.
It's weird going second. Good evening, everyone. Student services is a busy time of year for us. One thing I'm really excited to share, the gentleman tonight spoke about RAP, that's our regionalized autism program, or special day classes for students with autism. And this year we've invested in a new curriculum for both our classes at Mountain View and Emblem and Bridgeport, with some of the COVID dollars and the learning loss dollars we have. So they got all brand new curriculum. Our teachers were able to get trained, our administrators had an opportunity for that. But along with this program are some really cool parent workshops that parents can take part of, but there's a fee for parents. And so one of the workshops, our director, Darcy Quinn, is sponsoring for our parents. It specifically focuses on autism and behavior. And so we are hosting that next Wednesday at Emblem for our parents, so they can learn a little bit more about how to support their children in school, at home with behavior specifically to autism, and then there'll be a chance to ask questions. We have 40 people, over 40 families signed up. So that is a small program for us, and that's really exciting. I will be there as well. Also, it is matriculation time. Our kids are going to Hart, and for this means multiple IEP meetings. We have over 200 students with IEPs that are matriculating to Hart. What that means is we sit down with Hart, we talk about the services, what the student needs, where they're struggling, to really set them off on the right foot when they go there. We're also gearing up, Sam, for the Healthiest Schools application. We're excited to see what schools are going to make that next year, and state recognition for PBIS, and that's happening in May. And then lastly, we're really focused and committed on providing support in all the 3 tiers for the Hart side of the MTSS. And we're really expanding our capacity. I'm really excited to say we have 2 new social workers that are going to be joining our team, 1 this year, 1 next year. And then we added 2 behaviorists to our PPST team, our proactive problem solving team. So a lot happening in student services. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heinlein.
Tonight, we're going to present second interim, so I would like to save my update till then.
Okay, Dr. Stevenson.
All right, good evening. As Sam mentioned, we had an amazing turnout at the teacher recruitment fair this weekend. We had my staff was the first staff to get there to set up. So they grabbed the table right at the door. And then we had an amazing turnout of staff too. So I want to say thank you to all of our principals who came and conducted many interviews. Our district office administration that was there to help us schedule interviews as people walked in the door, help talk about our schools. Our classified staff that was there just serve as runners, explain the process. We had our certificated substitute technician there, and she had an orientation day for new teacher substitutes or guest teachers. And many of them came out of that job fair, I think 9 of them. And they said their comment was that our district explained things and the process the best. So they want to come work for us and not any of the other districts. So yay. And then lastly, I have to thank Sam and Elizabeth, who stood right at the front door and did actually grab people, not physically, but grabbed them and started talking to them and got them right to our district table. It was really an amazing group and a great teamwork. We've got a lot of people to interview. We hired or offered contracts to a few people on the spot, including a speech and language pathologist, which is really hard to come by. So we are super excited about how that turned out. Next week, a group of us will be going down to CABE, which is the California Association of Bilingual Educators Conference. And we will have a booth there to recruit DLI teachers. We will be down there. We've got it posted already. And so hopefully we'll have people apply and then we can interview them there and hopefully offer some contracts on the spot there too. And then lastly, I would like to congratulate all of our teacher tribute honorees. We will be recognizing them at an upcoming board meeting. And then on April 28th, we have the the Valleywide Teacher Tribute Recognition Ceremony. That's it.
Thank you. Now board reports. Mrs. Grease.
I was not planning on making a statement today because I don't really have that much to report, but I would just like to remind the community of why I was elected to the seat. I was elected for transparency, good or bad. I was elected for parental representation, good or bad. And I was elected to ensure communication was had between the district and the community. I'm a parent. I've been in this district for 6 years, so I am not new. And that's what I'm going to continue to do, regardless if it goes against tradition in the district. I'm going to continue to be an advocate for the community. Thank you.
Ms. Love.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out on yet another rainy day. Congratulations again to our PBIS Excellence Award winners. Congratulations to all of our teacher tribute honorees. It's amazing to see the dedication that you all have had since the last meeting. I've had the opportunity to do some more site visits. I've been to Santa Clarita Elementary, West Creek, and Tesoro. And it's just really heartwarming and nice to walk the campuses and talk with faculty and staff and see the really great education that's going on in classrooms. We were able to watch some of the instruction, some of the math instruction, Mr. Clement, which was really exciting to see, and just view some of the amazing facilities that we have. So that was really great. I have also had the opportunity to engage in several conversations and learning opportunities with respect to our school site safety plans that we have up to confirm tonight. Hopefully, which has been really helpful. And I look forward to doing that this evening. Over the weekend, I went to the Free to Be Me festival that we had in the community for families with disabilities. Also really wonderful. There was a SELPA booth there. Delmy was there. She got to meet my kids. It was a really, really heartwarming event to attend. A lot of community engagement at that event. So that was exciting. And then earlier today, Mr. Trunke and I were able to get together with several of our colleagues from some neighboring districts to meet with our Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo and discuss with her a little bit about what we'd like to see from the state in terms of supporting our schools and funding and what we're prioritizing in that respect. So yeah, it's been busy and those are my updates for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trunke.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few things tonight. First, congratulations to our teacher tribute honorees. Sam, thank you for reading the list, so I don't have to. I'm not sure I could have gotten through it without mispronouncing a few things. Second, I attended Legislative Action Week training on March 1st, and as Ms. Love said earlier today, we met with Assemblymember Schiavo, and I am looking forward to meeting with Senator Wilk's office on Thursday. Next up is congratulations again to our PBIS Certificate of Excellent Award recipients. And lastly, thank you to everyone that attended the teacher recruitment fair last Saturday. Great work. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Watson.
Well, good evening. I want to thank you all for being here or there tonight. Congratulations to all of our teacher tribute honorees. We're so proud of our teachers and all the incredible work that they do day in and day out. So grateful. So congratulations. I want to thank all of you as well as my colleagues for your grace and allowing me to attend remotely as I'm away on business this week. I do want to let you all know that today I am not celebrating Pi Day because I find it to be highly irrational. That's not a joke, but a math joke, so you're welcome. I don't have much to report, but I do want to thank Deputy Andrade, who met with us earlier this evening to discuss some of the tactical portions of our school-wide safety plans. He had some fantastic questions for us, as well as some suggestions, and we truly appreciate our local first responders for partnering with our schools so closely to keep them as safe as possible. Other than that, I just want to remind everyone that March Madness college basketball tournaments start this week, so go Bruins.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Thank you to Dr. Stevenson and her team for the recruitment activity. Looking forward to adding new teachers. Congratulations to our teachers who received the tribute this year. Reminder that Sunday we hopped forward on the clocks and it will take everybody about a week to adjust. Also, heart attacks and car accidents go up this week, so be careful. Okay. That was delightful, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to the consent calendar. I need to remove the personnel report because there's a person on there that I know, so it would be a conflict of interest. So I need to vote on that separately. Does anyone else need to remove anything from the consent calendar? Okay. Matt, you can hear us, right? Okay. All right, which item?
D4, the Oaks Club. of Valencia.
D4.
We
Okay.
need to get a motion first to approve the item that was removed.
Oh, okay. Can I motion?
Yeah.
I move to, oh no, I can't because I'm not going to vote on it. I need a motion to approve the personnel report
So
separately.
moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And I abstain. Okay, so the personnel report is approved. All right. Now, what is your question? Oh,
Get a
sorry.
motion first.
Oh, okay. Do I have a motion to approve the remainder of the consent calendar?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Aye.
Okay. All right, now we're open for discussion.
Okay. The contract for the Oaks Club, I know in asking earlier questions that it's for a training session of about 60, 70 people, is that right? Is it common to not hold these types of trainings at the district in a way to help maybe save money? Or is it common for us to utilize outside places for these types of?
I would say that both are common and I've seen done for various reasons.
Do we know why then, in an effort to maybe not save some money, that we opted to go to the Oaks? I mean, the Oaks is beautiful, like, don't get me wrong, but
It's a venue and an opportunity for us to really get away from being here and focus on our collaboration and our efforts gearing up for the conference we're going to be going to.
so it's just personal preference. I'm asking because it's a way to save money and I know that every dollar counts. So I just would. be
It
interested.
brings a different level of importance and
Totally. In
Yeah.
my work, we do
But we
that
could do
sometimes,
it.
so I get it as like, I get it, like I work professionally as well, so I do these types of things. I'm just questioning how much maybe we spend per year and if all of it is truly necessary versus having some of those conversations in-house where you can
and
save a
we
little
do
bit.
most of our things like this in-house because we don't do an event like this very often because of that reason, right? We're mindful of that.
I'm just asking.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on the consent calendar? Mr. Watson?
No, are we so voting to remove or to remove anything else or approve the
Nope.
entire, okay.
Now we're going to vote. So to approve the remainder of the consent calendar, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, consent calendar is approved. All right. Okay, now we have an updated presentation on the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant. Mr. Clement.
Okay, so as Mr. Heinlein pulls that up, I'm just going to start by acknowledging a couple things. First of all, I know it's odd to see something in a draft form, but this particular document, the way that we were instructed to have it approved, it is something that's talked about in more of a draft form at a board meeting, and then we'll vote to approve it at a subsequent meeting. So I believe it's on the 28th when we come together. You'll see the plan again. You won't see the presentation again, but won't be in draft form on that date. The other interesting thing that you're going to note, and because we have 2 board members that weren't part of this process, I'll go through everything a little bit more detail that I would have had it been all 5 the same, because this is something that we've already gone through and approved. And this is just an adjustment, right? Basically, you can see the dates there in 2021, where we presented and approved the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant. And really, due to the state of all the various funding that's come in, and we've always been so wise to spend those dollars first that are going to expire in an effort to be really conscious of the budget and our spending. So basically, it was put out that we could redo some of the figures and reallocate some of this money in different ways if we needed to. And if we were going to do that, they wanted it done by the 31st of this month. So we went ahead and took a look and made some updates, and I'll share those with you tonight. Okay, so essentially, the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant is funds set aside for effective staff development, really for all levels of employees, whether it be administrators, classified, or certificated staff. It's funding that we were able to start using during the 21-22 school year, and we have until the 25-26 school year to expend these funds. We've gone through the motions of having everything already approved, and I'm also going to show you on a subsequent slide how our different budgets go together and how they're all working together. Okay. So when we look at allowable uses, the best way I can describe it is training and professional development and or coaching for our staff, whether it be our noon supervisors outside. I'm going to talk about some training that we're going to do with them, or some coaching, or our teaching staff, our administrator staff, really anybody who's working for us in the district. Go ahead, Nick. We had done some surveying of our stakeholders. And even since we've done this, we don't use the word stakeholders anymore. We now refer to them as our educational partners. But in 2021, we were still using the stakeholders word, so you can see that flashback. But the people that responded to that gave us a list of the highest priority things they would like to see. Our early literacy is our getting reading right and the science of reading with our Orton Gillingham and the Haggerty work that we've been so intensely working on for the last few years. Our making sense of mathematics and the new mathematics framework. We even heard a reference to this evening. Professional learning communities, the focus that we've been focused on and are strengthening district-wide, which is a large training you're going to see us putting forth to the board probably at the next meeting this summer. Training that's already happening through the county that we're working on, and training that we'll be focused on when we're at that retreat that we were just talking about earlier. Continued work in equity and diversity, and the NGSS is the science standards. Okay. So this is a slide that shows the alignment to all of the different types of funding and all of the different topics that we are focused on, that we've been working with, and how they tie into all the different budgets. you're going to find Title II or staff development budget. You're going to find our LCAT budget tied into these goals, the ESSER funds that we're working hard to make sure that those are those funds that are going to start expiring, that we're expending first. Our ELO on this slide, that is now our ELOP, because it's our Extended Learning Opportunities Plan and Program. But you can see all the different various topics there that we're currently focused on and how they all tie into those topics that were on the previous slide. So when we look at the two areas, you're basically going to see coaching and you're going to see staff development and professional learning. So you might think of the professional learning or the staff development as the type of learning where you're going somewhere, you're sitting and you're listening and you're learning and you're doing. The coaching might be considered more of a hands-on the job in your classroom at your school type of focus. The interesting and unique thing that we'll notice if we compared it to the plan that we had earlier is these numbers were almost switched. Where there was more spent on staff development in the past and more set aside for or less for coaching, so to speak. But really that coaching and that hands-on work is really where you're going to be able to see a lot of change and a lot of just hands-on learning where it's going to be great for the teachers. So it's really, I think, a good thing for us to be able to see that switch. A couple of things that we've looked at that cause for that switch. We have a company called Playworks that we've been working with in the past, where they will come and work with our noon supervisors, our staff that's out with our students during all their recesses and breaks. They will also be working with our teachers and site administrators. So they'll really be working with every site, but they will be doing that work side by side with our staff during the school day at each specific school site. So it can be tailored for that site a little bit. And the last time we did an update with this company, it was really when we were returning. And we had the opportunity to have people from each school site come to a location, and Sam Ford was there and we worked with that company. But really, we didn't get the participation from each school site that we really had hoped for. It was the first return really event or training that we had, and people were scared, right? We weren't where we are now. And even though it still had a great impact, especially for those schools that really attended and committed, I can think of the team at Tesoro, for example, who had latched onto that and have really done a good job implementing it. And we see the value there. And now that we're in a more safe and consistent time, why not have this opportunity to really strengthen that within all of our school sites? So instead of doing the model where we have them all come to a location, let's do that where we can work side by side with them and coach them in person and have that opportunity. So we have the structure here to be able to do that 2 different years. Whether we do it year after year, 2 years in a row to make it more solid, or whether we do it next year and we wait until maybe the end of this to do it. We have that flexibility here to move that around. But it is kind of noted in here that we have the opportunity to do that twice if we feel like that's something that we want to do again after we've done it. The other thing that's changed with the coaching, it's the part that was there prior, is the work that we're doing with the making sense of mathematics that our math TOSAs are working on. I already got a text that they appreciated their first shout out. So I love that they're listening. I have to give them another one. But they're working with 3 different schools right now, going in, working with a couple grade levels, and they're going to continue that work to be able to go in, do model lessons for them, have the teachers actually teach the lesson while they co-teach with them, and teachers can really see in a hands-on way how those effective practices are implemented, and they can perfect their own practices with them as they learn that way versus sitting and hearing about it and then going back and attempting it on their own. We also have the opportunity with different funding to keep our intervention TOSAs going for the next 2 years. So some of the money that we might have spent before, where we were going to keep some of that going for another year, is an opportunity that we can keep a couple of them for an additional year, where we can work at really coaching the teachers and teams at the schools through their tier 1 and tier 2 interventions and direct instruction, so that as that intervention team that's in place now has to fade out because of the funding, they'll have some coaching and how to continue to function and provide those interventions on their own once they're gone, but they won't have to just do it on their own immediately. They'll have that TOSA that can guide them through creating those interventions and looking at their data and helping the teams work through that, so they have that hands-on experience. And then the bottom row with the professional learning, I think that being here in the last few years and looking at the staff development that we've been able to do, you can recognize the strength of our team in Ed Services and our teachers on special assignment specifically. So we have no problem spending those dollars, making sure that we're putting on events like our fall spectacular training and our welcome back training and our Orton Gillingham training that we're already planning, that's a week long in August, and those types of events. So in a very long-winded explanation, there's the bulk of that explanation. All right. Really, the last slide is just a summary of everything that I've already stated. It talks about how we're focused on all of the major subject areas, including 21st century learning and technology integration. That's an update or an addition to our new way of really approaching some of this, because we are focused on that integration with technology and integrating the subjects, including writing. And then just a little focus on some of the coaching and items that we're going to be doing through professional learning communities, our social emotional learning, and the different items. And the next slide. So this gives a little bit of a list of the different programs that I was mentioning when I was talking about where that funding was going. So you can see in that coaching section, that's where that PlayWorks company comes in. It's where our intervention team comes in, and where you'll see the coaching as we work to strengthen our supports during our multi-tiered system of support MTSS program and our systematic intervention program and professional learning communities. And then you'll see under that the list of professional development, where we're basically focused on supporting all of the programs that we want to be coaching as we go through our key areas of our LCAP and all the goals associated with that. And with that, I'll take questions.
Thank you. Mrs. Grease.
I do have questions. I'm sorry, they're by page and there's no page number, so I'm gonna have to help describe it to you.
That's okay.
Please. Back slide.
Yeah.
NGSS, I know you said it, but it was fast. What was it?
It's our science standards, next generation science standards. That's what it stands for. It's the new way of saying science.
Oh,
I had the same question like 10 years ago. I'm like, why are they saying that? But that's what it is.
okay. You mentioned that you surveyed our teachers and administrators. How many teachers and administrators did it go to? I know it says here you have 150 responses, but how many did it go out to? Everyone?
It probably would have been, what would be the total number? I mean, there's about 350-ish teachers and another at least 100. So I would say about 5.
But what the goal is the intent is to send it to everyone, right? Every employee.
Absolutely.
And are we happy with the 150 respondents? I know that I've done similar things in other types of businesses, and getting the accurate number of respondents is really important to get accurate readings.
I was happy with 150. I thought it was a pretty good number.
Yeah, I don't know how, what the number of respondents are typically, because I know you guys do a lot of.
It's
different
maybe
focus
not as
groups.
high as we would get on, like the LCAP survey that we're about to do is so important. This was something that we reached out and did because we were really curious and wanted to see. It was more of an inquiry, not as a more of a formal document like our LCAP survey, that our school connectedness survey that's going to go out. That one's so important to us. Not that they're all not important, but
Yeah.
so I was happy with that.
And was you listed highest priority topics, right? The 5. Was that the exact feedback of what people wanted, or were there other things that were noteworthy that maybe didn't make it to the list because it wasn't as popular?
There might have been a couple of others that were,
Like,
I couldn't tell you because this was 2021 when we did the actual survey. So I didn't look back at that survey or anything. This is just an update to the financial parts. And we're still focused on those major areas. So it was consistent.
and when's the next time that you would do an effectiveness survey?
So this is
was 2
a
years ago.
unique block grant. That's a one-time money. So we wouldn't for this.
So we're-
Unless
so
we
we're
got a new,
basing the program based off feedback 2 years ago. But we still think that the feedback is relevant based on what's happening in schools today.
based on our LCAP goals and based on the goals of the board and the superintendent, absolutely.
Got it. The allowable uses. I know from looking at, I don't even know what website it was. But it lists the 11 different ways the money can be spent. And we're choosing to spend it on those 2, right? Specifically the coaching for certificated classified professional learning. Do we know out of the 11 what we're going to be exactly focusing on during the training?
I'd have to look at what you're actually looking at, so.
It was one of the links that Dr. Hawkins sent out after one of the questions that were emailed. I can go back later and tell you.
Okay,
what
I can
site
click on
that
it. I
was.
can find that link and answer that.
Okay, I'm just
later.
curious as to know what the focus of the.
I mean,
training-
the intent is for training, right? The coaching and the professional development are summaries of that, right? It's just the separation of what the 2 are. One's more hands-on and one's not.
Yeah, I understand. I think I'm just looking for something more specific on what we are going to be training based on what the criteria is that we are allowed to use the funds for. And then just something outside of that. I know there's a lot of acronyms
Yeah.
that
there
are
are.
in education, and I just wonder if it would help the community to maybe write some of those out versus using the acronyms, just as we look at future presentations, if that would be helpful to
We're-
have.
We're actually doing that for our new LCAP work, so I think that's a great suggestion. Were there any in particular?
No, there's so NGSS, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's probably. But I would just say in general, it might be nice for the community to understand kind of what. all
There's
of
a
these
lot.
Acronyms are.
Yeah, you're right.
Everything else I think was addressed in prior emails, but thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Wow.
Yes, I have a quick question. Thank you for the presentation and for giving us the detail. You said at the beginning that, I'm gonna repeat it wrong, so I
That's okay.
apologize. But you said that we needed to sort of revise the funding or where we're gonna spend it by the end of the month. So once we do that, we don't have any more flexibility after that for the remainder of the term of this block grant, is that?
Well, we're going to use the funding for staff development, and we didn't have to necessarily get this approved or turned in a Uber compliant way. So as long as we're using those funds in these areas, we can move it around, so to speak. For example, if the coaching for Playworks, we decide to do it this coming school year, and then we decide we want to wait 2 years and do it that last year, that funding can be used in either one of those years. This is just a stepping stone or an example of what we plan to do.
That makes sense. That's.
So if we
very
do more
helpful.
coaching one year and we didn't get quite through the same amount of coaching the year before, we can still use those funds.
Okay, so you can sort of assess as we go. Okay,
Absolutely.
that makes sense. That was my only question. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
that was the only question that I had. It's nice to know that there's flexibility with
Yeah.
all of this to be able to react to how well things go, changing plans.
It's the key word right now in funding is with our budgets. It's, paying those accounts that have to be expended first has been an opportunity for us, right, Nick?
Thanks. Mr. Watson.
I appreciate the flexibility as well. Mr. Clement, thank you very much for the presentation. And I really do appreciate the balance between training and coaching. Both are extremely important. You know that this is my jam. And to really drive home the metaphor in sports, spending time in the film room and discussing how we handle every situation when we get out to the field of play is important, but it's not enough. We need direct and immediate feedback on our on-field court pitch or classroom implementation of what we've learned from expert practitioners. So I do like the balance between training and coaching. When I do look at the dollar amounts for coaching, it looks like we're allocating a certain amount every year for coaching, but then that increases that final year by about 2.5% in 25-26. Is there something specific planned that would merit such an increase in the funding in that year?
So the Playworks in theory would have ended after having that done those first 2 years. And then that last year is that fifth year where we won't have our intervention team at the site anymore. And that would allow us to keep some coaches on site to help the staff and the teachers transition into creating their own interventions and looking at their data and planning those intervention groups and their tier 1 and tier 2 instruction on their own. So it is an extension of that program in a reduced way because we won't be able to maintain those 15 intervention specialists for the remainder. I'm looking at you like you're here, but you're up there.
Yeah, I get it.
But we won't be able to maintain those 15 intervention teachers and their whole staff once that funding runs out. So this is a way for us to keep a smaller, reduced number of them to help the schools transition and the teachers be able to really complete those functions on their own once they're gone.
Interesting. So almost like we would do a transition plan for a 504 exit plan or something.
Yeah, like a gradual release.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you. That's a really good answer. And then without getting too in depth, can you explain just a little bit more about what the Playworks coaching is about? Is this coaching on strategies and techniques for playground supervision? What are some of the topics that they go into?
I mean, it is. Sam, do you want to talk about it at all? You're so passionate about it.
Oh, if Sam would be able to, that'd be great.
Just maybe it should come up. Because I can talk about it, but she can talk about it way better.
It's about systems and mostly it focuses a lot on safety, especially psychological safety for students on the yard. And so it trains yard supervisors. It also has a component that empowers students and teaches them leadership skills as well. So they're on site to train our staff and students in real time.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. And I apologize for the pie joke.
Hey, people laugh though. So you got a good reaction here.
Matt, you can't take it back.
Well, if people liked it, I'm not going to take it back. I'll leave it out there.
Thank you. I appreciate the fact that in addition to certificated, that classified is included, because it takes a village to educate. I just recently learned what induction is. I know that this is a one-time, it's not ongoing,
right,
but can we use some of it to help the new teachers with their induction fees?
You want the list?
Yeah. I don't know about paying fees, but we.
Well,
can
I
do
saw it
staff
mentioned in
development,
here,
so
teacher and administrative.
it's possible. we can use it to train all of our staff at all levels.
Because that would be.
But
a
I don't
nice,
know if they were going to
selling
something,
point for
we
new
could,
teachers.
it might be worth looking at.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. It was
I'll write that
nice
down.
to see you so excited to get up and speak, Ms. Ford. I love that. And as usual, Mr. Clement, you're always so passionate about education.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Oh. That was this one. Okay. Now we will conduct the first reading of board policies and admin regulations. Series 6000 instruction. Mr. Clement?
Okay, so we have several to go through tonight. And our first one, I believe, is 6112, which is just for the school day. And a lot of these tonight have very, very few changes. This one literally just had a couple of small changes, like the recess change, for example, but noting that that's not just indicating every break or every recess. We do have a recess period that's attached to lunch that's longer than 20 minutes actually, so we meet that compliance. And that's really it for that one. Switching gears here just a second. And then it talked about, really when you're looking at it, it talked about making sure that we had equal access for all students, including students with disabilities, and also the addition of the UTK program as we expand what was our K program that became our TK program that's now our UTK program.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, Mr. Watson? Okay, so we will bring it back to the next meeting for approval. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the Alevo Learning Saugus contract 22-23-313 during school program?
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Just a quick clarification. The first one is contract 312, not 313.
Oh, my apologies. Does your motion still stand?
I guess.
Sorry.
Yes, it does.
Okay, we're talking about 312. Okay, who wants to explain this one?
That's me.
Okay.
All right. So we have the two contracts for Alevo today, but this is, I believe, the first one that talks about Alevo coming in to work with our students. Basically, they will be able to come in for part of our instructional day towards the end of the day, and they'll be able to provide structured PE activities and events. And that time will also be an opportunity where our teachers can come together and collaborate as grade levels. Really, as we're asking them to be, looking at their instruction and their learning, and this will give them planning time to work together.
And this is to help with the issue of not having enough substitutes to provide training time.
It's part of that, but it gives them time each week where they can come together and focus, and it doesn't ask them to do that, outside of their contract day, or we wouldn't be able to release them right now because we can't have the subs that they normally would have when they would have these planning days. So it's an alternative to that, and something we want to try to see if it will work for a structure that we're looking at for next year.
Questions, comments? Mr. Watson?
Yay for common planning time and collaboration.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. And now we will approve. Do I have a motion to approve Alevo Learning Saugus contract? This time it's 22-23-313, and this is the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Anything
All right,
to
so
add?
this is the same company that we've been working with in a similar fashion. We've had quite a waiting list, in our after-school program. So this is an opportunity for Alivo to come in and lead similar activities that we're discussing with the previous program. They'll be able to do structured PE or STEAM activities. And it'll provide extra enrichment for the students that are enrolled in our after-school program. And as they come in and work with our students and our staff that we have permanently hired, work with the other half, and they'll be able to kind of rotate. So we'll really be able to incorporate a lot of kids from our waiting list in at all of our sites. So it's something that will increase our ability to have more students in our after-school program, and will increase our after-school care, and will help a lot of families. So we're really thrilled to give this a try to really meet the needs of. And this is something that's been great because hiring and getting staff for that after-school program has been a challenge. I will say, just as a caveat, as we adjusted some of the rates of pay and things mid-year or earlier in the fall, we've had a lot of success bringing in a lot more permanent employees. So I'll give that as a plug. If you're out there and you're listening and you want a job, we're hiring for after-school program. But this company is going to get a lot of those kids off the waiting list. And once again, it's something that we're looking at for the fall or the spring, so we can do it as a pilot, if you will, or to try it to see if they're a company that we'd like to work with in the future while we're still trying to hire permanent staff for that program, which is our goal.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
By having this program, the current CDP teams, does it not force, but does it make them have different credentials to be within CDP because we're trying to institute just this new program? Does that make sense? No.
It doesn't, not that it doesn't make sense. I think it makes sense what you're saying, but it doesn't force us to do any different.
It doesn't. So it's the same qualifications for CDP that it's always been, right?
For the-
Regardless of
for the
having to
people teaching?
implement. Yeah, regardless of how, because it's, I mean, my child went through CDP and it wasn't necessarily teaching.
Right.
but- So it's changed. That's, I guess, what I'm getting at. So
So when you look at our expanded learning opportunities program, it's combining a lot of programs, right? We have our typical childcare and child development program, like, you've been used to, or that your kids may have gone through. And we've had different programs like ACEs or expanded learning. That was a specific after-school program at a specific site. And these funds are starting to merge together a little bit with the way the state allocates them. So we're able to use them just to increase the opportunity for more students, really. But it's really the same type of qualification after school. Because we can hire, we've got some college kids and things like that that work in that program.
Okay.
Even when I was a teacher 20 years ago, when that program started, one of my after-school program instructional assistants that worked at my school is a principal in my previous district now. He's got to start in education early that way.
So what happens when the funding goes away for these types of programs? What happens then to the CDP teams and what they're?
Well, I mean, you could see that happen with any kind of program. If the funding stops, then that program would change, or it would grow or cease, right? The after-school program funding has gone through many changes. It was called PASA for a long time. It was switched to ACEs for a long time. It was more acronyms, right? Those are all acronyms. And then it was switched into expanded learning. And now the ELOP, or the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, is its current state. It's something the state has held fast to and has continued to fund. And this latest commitment has increased the funding for that extended day for more students. by far in the greatest amount that I think we've seen.
Right. So, but how much is this? Is this only for 22, 23? When does the funding run out?
At this point, it's ongoing funding. So that's why we can hire people with it, because it's funding that's designated year after year. Whereas say the educator effectiveness money is a $2 million grant that will end by 2026. So it's not an ongoing fund. So we have to be careful not to hire people, right, so to speak, with money that's going to be gone in a year, because then we wouldn't have them in a year, and that's not really fair.
Correct.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Mr. Watson?
Nope, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is approved. Sorry, Mrs. Berries, there's nothing in student support services. Human resources. Do I have a motion to approve the updated salary schedules for certificated employees for the 2022-23 school year?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any?
All right, so this salary schedule, along with the following salary schedules, are just the formal way that the salary increase that the board has already approved shows up when we post it on the website. So this is our salary schedule with that 9% salary increase attached.
Great. Questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is approved. Do I have a motion to approve the updated salary schedules for classified employees for the 2022-23 school year?
So moved.
I will second. We don't need to discuss, right? Okay. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is approved. Do I have a motion to approve the updated salary schedules for management and confidential employees for the 2022-2023 school year?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is approved. Do I have a motion to approve the increase to classified substitute pay schedule?
So moved.
And I will second.
Can I just make one comment on that? Because
course.
obviously our substitutes are not part of a bargaining unit, but our classified substitute or guest classified employees, their salary schedule is the first grade of the classified salary schedule. So when we increase our classified staff's regular salary schedule, then we increase the substitute salary schedule.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is approved. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the site's comprehensive school safety plans for the 2023-24 school year?
So
So moved.
second.
Okay, any questions, discussions? This is what we discussed at the last meeting. Anyone? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Okay, moving on to the fun stuff, Mr. Heinlein. Do I have a motion to approve the second interim for the 2022-23 school year?
Move to approve.
I will second it. Mr. Heinlein.
Okay, well, tonight to help and lead us off on explaining where we are at second interim, Roseanne's going to try to work from the board with a mic. So we're gonna see how well that works this evening. Okay, well, we should be good then. So, sorry, Mr. Watson, you won't be able to see her.
Oh, that's fine. I'm sure she looks great, but I would rather see the presentation.
I think so.
So tonight, as we said, we're in the second interim. And before I go into much of the budgeting process, in the second interim, I want to talk about the internal process that we use in the district. Because it's labor intensive several week process. And unfortunately, our county office does not provide state of the art or any type of really great tool. So as you know, the budget is about 80 or 80% fixed from benefits and salary. So what we have to do is we download basically raw data of about 1,300 employees. We have to transform that data into some type of format that makes it easy for us to project. Also, our accounting systems or our payroll systems, whatever system it's called, they don't prorate. So if we have employees who start later in the year, a week later in the year on either absence, and they're paid different rates and they're prorated during the benefits, we don't have, our system does not do that. So we basically go through manually, person by person, and we make adjustments, prorate everything to get our base to start with. And then once we have our base, what we did this year is, as you know, second interim, we had that 9% increase. We also had changes to cash in lieu, changes to medical cap, changes for stipends. So it's a very labor intensive process just to build what we need to build to put into our budget. So I do want to give a big thank you to Letta Ayles, who is our senior accountant, and she is a guru, and she has learned how to build all this stuff to make it easier for us to budget on that. So then we get to the actual budgeting itself. So right now we have around 5,300 line items that we have to budget between revenue and expenses. That's balances and everything, and that's through all 10 of 11 funds. So I have another accountant named Helen Carrera, and she helped build that budget because again, it's just a big Excel download. It's all raw data. You have to build it so it's useful and it works, and somehow you can get all the data over here. So it is a process, and what we do is we go program by program. And so when you see variances, there are variances that are going up and there are variances that are going down. Maybe we're moving it from one object code to another object code because, as you know, all of our accounting at 32-digit budget stream is governed by the state accounting board, and every piece means something, and it's a very strict where you put stuff. So as we move things around, I just want to give you guys a background of what it takes to build this budget. So right now we are in March, we're at the second interim, and our actuals only go to January 31st. For revenue and expenses, and then once we finish this, we'll start jumping into looking at the budget for next year. Okay. So on the revenue side, we're going to break it out between unrestricted and restricted, so you can see more clearly the different funds. And when I do the projections for revenue, what I start is I go every single program for revenue we have in the district, and I source fund everything. Because what happens is, even though the budget is approved by the state in June, things change. Like for the LCFF revenue, when we started, we had one COLA amount, and then after the governor's budget that came out in January, they changed the COLA amount augmentation percent for this year. So we recalculate all the LCFF funding, and we say we're getting $9,000 more. When we get down to things like other local revenue, those are our other local revenue. One of the biggest changes in there is interest. So obviously with inflation going up, our rates are going up, so we're projecting for interest is going up. We also have things like facility usage that was receives funding for, so that goes up. Things like ESMA, which is our medical funding. There's a lot of things that happen in first interim that we don't know we're going to receive for the year. So we wait those funds to put them into the budget. And then we have the biggest increase in other local revenues. We have our JPA service funding that we haven't received during COVID. We're projecting to be about $300,000 this year. So that is in the budget, and that will go to support all of the kitchen stuff at school sites. Contributions I'll talk about when I get to the restricted revenue. Ready to go to restricted revenue. The restricted revenue is a little different because a lot of the revenue, like when you look at our federal revenue, one thing about federal revenue is that we make think we're getting a certain amount at the beginning of the year, but the federal government, by the time the funding goes to the state recalculates it, we won't get grant letters until December, January, February, March, even into May. So that's why those revenues start to change, because we're waiting for the grant letters. And something as easy as Title I, first interim, the state says this is how much you're going to receive, and then now they say, no, we're giving you $50,000 more. Or our IDEA money, which is our special ed money. So that's what a lot of that is made up of. When we get to other state revenue here again, it's all restricted, and there's a lot of increases that we did receive that you don't really see in here. You just see this large decrease, and what that basically is the arts grant. So when the July budget or the June budget came out and the governor said we're going to get billions of dollars for the arts grant, I guess it's we were projected and they told us $5.8 million. Well, at the governor's January budget presentation, the state said, wait a minute, we don't have enough money to give you $5.8 million. So it's recommended to us by LACO, by the state, by all of our resources that we reach out to, that we're going to reduce it. So they recommend that we reduce that grant. That's that grant. And then when we get down to contributions, again, contributions as your word for special education, the federal government only pays about 40 cents on the dollar. We get federal funding and it does not support all of our special education and other funding sources in the restricted. So when we increase all the salaries to 9%, increase all the benefits, we have to contribute when we take them up to our. So again, unrestricted expenses, break it out unrestricted and restricted, and certificate the salaries and benefits. The big increase in there is obviously the 9% increase. And when you increase salary, the benefits go up and all of the benefits. And then we go through all our other expenses and we look at actually what we've spent to date. Is there something new that's coming up? Is there something in IT? For each one of these individual expenses. So when I look at the 4,000, which are books, supplies, intangible items under a certain dollar amount, the big increases in there are our custodial supplies or our ground supplies. With inflation, the costs go up, they need to buy more stuff than they did before. So that's an increase. Sometimes what happens when I was saying we move things between these different budgets, maybe we have money set in extra pay we're going to pay teachers or attending professional development, but instead we are able to have somebody come in and do the professional development. So it may look like you're increasing here and there, but we're moving stuff down possibly to that budget. When we get to the fives and we look at the service and other operating expenses, the largest increase in there was to contracts, and that is within the special education department. So we start the beginning of the year assuming all the services we're going to need, and then as students move into the district, they may need another service, they may need other personnel to support the program. So we don't know that until the year goes on. So every time we're moving, ratifying the contract for SST, we go in and we increase encumbrance, increase budgets. That's what we see what we're projecting to spend for that. So that really is the largest increase in there. And then sometimes, as Ed was speaking about earlier, we have grant funding that comes in. And we may have grant funding, but we have to recognize the expenses, and we may not know we're going to spend the money. And so we have a plan. So we have to plan to get the expenses. Again, it's the same concept, right? All your salaries and benefits increase because of all the salary increases and stuff. And then as we go down to the different columns, the 4s, the 5s, the 6s, you want me to talk in more detail for the variances, or do we want to ask questions after? I don't want to just going.
Why don't you touch on 6,000s?
So the 6,000s, we have that $111,000 increase. And the biggest piece of that increase, those 6,000 are capital assets. So any items over $5,000 are charged there. And we have to spend 3% of our budget gets spent on M&O. And within that budget, are increase some of the expenses to purchase replacement of our white fleet, which are our trucks that the grounds drives and the other drives and all of that department drives, and they're much older, so we're able to look at purchasing new vehicles. That's one of the largest one. And again, services and operations. So once you put all your expenses together, your revenue, just like your checkbook, right? So at the first interim, we said we're gonna have $20 million revenue less expenses. And in second interim now we're at 11 million. And remember, this is combined. So this is all your unrestricted and all your restricted. And there are restricted funding that you can't spend. So just like your beginning of the year, our checkbook, we said we had $23 million to start the year. We're adding 11 million. So we go, woo, we have $34 million that we're projecting right now at second interim based on what we know. But of that 34 million, that 21 point down, almost 22 million is restricted funds, all the restricted side of the balance sheet of revenue and expenses that are restricted for certain programs that we just can't spend. So when we come down to the bottom, for Ed Code, we have to have 3% reserve. So we have that 3% reserve 3.9, and that's also contingent for us to have a qualified opinion. And unassigned and appropriated. So we have a 10% reserve. And I know, as Nick has said previously, a 10% reserve, you look at that, it's 10 million. But in 1 month, our payroll alone is almost 4 million now with the 9% in there. And our burden rate for accounts payable runs between, 3 million to 5 million a month, depending on the timing of what's going on. So this is actually a nice fund balance, because we do have reserve, we do have 10%, we have committed funds to help us with stuff we need to purchase, and we have our reserve.
Pam, do you mind turning on your mic and pointing it towards Roseanne? Okay.
So then, once we get through that big fund, we call it Fund 01, which is our other general fund. We have these other funds that, again, the board is responsible for the fiduciary responsibility for these funds. I'm not going to go through them all in detail. If you have questions, I'll answer any questions. But again, it's where we started the year, the projected revenue that will come into these funds, whether it's through interest or transfers or grants, and the projected expenditures and where we expect to spend the end of the year. So if you have questions about them, I'll discuss them, but I think we go through it every time. So if you have more questions, you can ask. And then our next slide is our multi-year projection, and that is.
Oh, that's where my favorite thing. Okay, so MYP or multi-year projections, all are hinged on assumptions. And so for this year, I kept all 3 columns of some of the most important assumptions on this slide, just to give you a visual of how much things change in just a few months, right? So that first interim that was presented to the board in December. So our top line is our cost of living allowance for the local control funding formula. When we planned the budget, we thought it was going to be 6.56. At first interim, it went up to 12.84%, right? So that was a lot of additional funds. And then at second interim, it's up even more, 13.26%, right? Very unusual to see that number change in 1 year. It typically stays the same after the July budget is finalized. Our enrollment, right? So we planned on our enrollment being 9,259. We actually have 9,097 students. So when we talk about enrollment, from the financial side, we always pick, I think it's still called Seabeds Day, that or CalPads Day, or it's like the first Tuesday in October, right? So that's the number, even though it changes every single day, that's the number we use for us. And then we have our corresponding change in our average daily attendance. We decreased our attendance factor, so that is the ratio between our ADA and our enrollment, to be a little bit lower because we're still struggling with chronic attendance, and that does impact our funding. You see our unduplicated count, right, or our percentage of students that are either low income, English learners, foster youth, or homeless has gone up this year. And then the next slide is a good example, both for like ESSER 2 and ESSER 3, right? So those dollars come in and we don't recognize those dollars until we spend them, right? So we may have a plan has to be changed, which means we have to then change the revenue with the corresponding expenditures. It's different than the plan that Ed was talking about tonight. That grant is what's called a fund balance resource grant. So once we receive those dollars, they just sit in our fund balance. We don't have to recognize the revenue as we spend them. And then really important is that big decrease that Roseanne mentioned, that 1/3 decrease in the arts, music, and instructional materials block grant. That's because the state has really focused on keeping most of the other programs intact and being able to fully fund this projected COLA for next year. So they're taking that out of this grant. Everything else, see, kudos to the Medi-Cal billing folks, increasing our local revenue by $135,000. And then, of course, all of the employee retirement system rates stay the same. But we see CPI being up, going down, and then creeping back up again. Looking at next year, the differences between first interim and second interim are pretty great when you look at COLA, right? The jump of nearly 3%, also typically not something we see. And we did change our enrollment based on our presentation by Davis Demographics, right? So once we get that info, we take it into account into our financials. We multiply that attendance factor to project our P2 ADA for next year. So you see it going down a little bit as well. And changes, of course, in ESSER. And then I don't know if it's been publicized too much, but the CalPERS retirement system increase going up from 25.2%. Just 3 months ago now, the percentage is 27%. So that's a big one. And then, of course, CPI increasing. So CPI, of course, is the amount that we increase our 4,000 budget codes or for supplies and services to hopefully protect the district's purchasing power as we're building the budget. Looking at 2024-25, the thought is COLA is going to go down. So instead of being 4, it's going to go down to 3.5. Other items of note, the enrollment decrease, again, from Davis Demographics, and then another increase in PERS rate. So when you take these variables and about, 300 more, and you put them all together, we come up with our multi-year projection revenue. When we do this, it is by funding source individually. It's then broken down into the bigger pots of unrestricted and then restricted dollars. And then for presentation tonight, we combine all of them together. So our combined total revenue decreasing next year, and then increasing a little bit in 24-25. And when we look at expenses, we see our expenses going up by quite a bit next year and then decreasing. A lot of that has to do with spending these one-time dollars and actually spending them and not carrying them in our fund balance. So if I go forward to the next slide and look at our fund balance, you see how on 3B where it says restricted, Roseanne spoke of us having about $21.9 million at the end of this year. See how it's going down to 17.1 million, then hopefully 13.7, right? So that's showing us that hopefully we're spending down all those grant funds. And then our reserves, right? So the thing we like to watch and make sure that we have sufficient reserves. Total reserves by percent with commitments. Again, when the budget is created and at the end of the year, we have to commit any dollars over 10%. So that's why we have a line in the fund balance slide that says commitments, and the number changes every year because we're just backing into what it needs to be. But the true reserve of the district is on line 5 this year, being about 12%. Next year, we think it'll be about 10%, and then maybe 11.1% in that final out year. With that, happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Questions, Mrs. Grease?
When on the art grant, when are we looking to start spending against that and hearing about what we're doing with it?
We had our first committee meeting earlier this month. Actually, we've got an art committee that's gathered, so that'll look at spending some of those dollars.
And does that come before the board just as an inform of what we're doing with it?
Well, I'm sure we'll be looking at that because there's other things that we'll take out of that block grant, like that we're going over through with that committee. So once we complete that, we take a look at where we're going to put those dollars. We'll come back together.
And
But
then
I'm sorry, just to be clear too, there's also the Prop 28 art grant money that is still very nebulous at this point. We know what it said. I think we're still waiting for some clarity, but that's also going to be part of your discussion and how this particular grant that is dwindling is planned to be used.
Similarly, earlier when we were talking about that grant money, there's not people attached to that because it's one time and once we spend it, it's done. But the Prop 28 money is money we can use for people and it's ongoing. So it's a great combo.
and the expenditures.
Just give you a little bit. So the danger with Prop 28 is that if there's a pending recession or if revenue goes down a lot, the funding for Prop 28 is tied to the minimum funding guarantee from Prop 98. So potentially, if there is a decrease, there could be a chance that the money is very, very, very small. So, I mean, that's, sorry to rain on your parade, but it's going to be hard when that money is devoted to staff. If one year there's hardly any money to pay for those people.
Yep, understand. And then the only other question, the books and supplies, there seems to be a big increase. But 2023, 2024, I think.
Oh, next year, Ed's supposed to be working on the math adoption. So there's $3.5 million in the budget for the math textbook adoption. And then that goes away. The next year is why you see the big decrease.
Okay, and then appreciate you pulling the additional expenditures. So I just thank you for pulling.
We are still, especially on the facilities side, but struggling with equipment. So like one of the big variances is for like capital outlay, which is anything that costs more than $5,000, right? So like we ordered network hardware last year. It didn't come in until the summer, which means it wasn't our expenditures last year, but now it's double this year. Right. So I assume that's gonna happen
regularly.
I think we're still in that boat where it's probably gonna happen possibly this summer as well. We're still struggling to get the bigger type items.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Love?
I don't have any. Thank you guys both so much. I don't know what we would do without you.
Mr. Trunky?
No questions. Thanks for the great work.
Mr. Watson?
Yeah, Ms. Sarasua and Mr. Heinlein, thank you very much for your report. It's been 2.5 years and I'm finally getting it, I think. Mrs. Grease brought up a great question about the arts grant money. Mr. Clement, you talked about the committee that's working on how we're going to spend that money. Is that the strategic arts planning team that you've discussed with us in the past? I think you did some training with LECO and some strategic arts planning.
And that was a different year. So that was different money, I believe.
Okay, so different money. But that was
There's been a lot of different funds that we've had to come in and spend in one time, but yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I just have one question that I think I know the answer to. So on the multi-year assumptions, the ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 emergency relief, the money went down. And is that just because we only record it when we plan to spend it?
Yes.
And plans change?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we are voting to approve this, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Okay. Matt, the next one is a resolution. So are you okay with taking
I'm ready.
roll from afar? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2022-23, number 50, a resolution of the governing board of Saugus Union School District declaring the futility of bidding for the purchase of vehicles?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Heinlein.
Typically, whenever we have to buy something that costs more than our bid limit, which is I think $109,000, we try to find an existing avenue to purchase it. So like the next resolution is for carpet, and we're buying it off of another government agency's contract, so to speak, or agreement. So we're asking the board, because for vehicles, we typically just go off the state list, right? They already did all the contract and we just buy vehicles from them. But nothing's available on the state contract right now, so we can't buy any trucks because they're not there. So the next step in the process is to then go out to bid ourselves for trucks. But nobody is going to respond to our bid because they can sell them without having to do all the paperwork to sell them to us. So we're asking the board to approve this resolution to say us going out to bid is futile. It's not going to give us anything, and then allow us to just purchase the vehicles from the local Ford dealership.
Cool. Any questions, comment?
I have questions. I'm really struggling with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. They may be very nice vehicles, but I'm just struggling with the amount. And are the current vehicles in use? Are they like fine, or we're just preemptively being cautious because they're old?
Yeah, they're from 1999. We use them every single day. So they're kind of out of the normal rotation process by many, many years. They're high mileage, and they need to be replaced. This year, because of all of the additional COVID dollars and all of those other funds, it increases the amount that we have to spend on maintenance. And so replacing them at this time is great. If there was another way to do it, we would be more than happy to do it. We did get other quotes from another dealership not too far away, and they're higher. So
Did we look at lower models of vehicles as well, or different brands? The quote?
well, we did. Typically, our district has always bought F-450s with service beds. We now are comfortable getting F-250s. So that is a little bit of a cost savings. But really, we're kind of trying to stick with what you would typically see in our industry. Vehicles that are good for maintenance guys with service beds and places to put all their tools and supplies. And
I get it. I just am really struggling with the dollar amount and just, I mean, that's, I don't know, it's funds for teachers. Essentially,
No.
I know we can't use it for that.
Yeah.
I get it, but
it's,
I
yeah,
don't know. It's just, I'm really struggling with
Any more?
it.
Matt, I'm sorry, Mr. Watson, you have any questions?
Good, thank you.
Okay, so this is a resolution. So Mr. Watson, you want to call the roll?
Sure. Ms. Grease,
I can't, no. I'm sorry.
okay, Ms. Love,
Aye.
Mr. Trunke.
Aye.
I vote aye. Ms. Cooper.
Aye.
And at a vote to 4-1, the resolution passes.
Now, do we have a motion to approve resolution 2022-23, number 51? Resolution of the governing board of the Saugus Union School District for purchase of flooring materials for West Creek Academy and Tesoro del Valle Elementary Schools. Mr. Heinlein.
Same type of resolution. We're just.
Oh,
asking-
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Now, Mr. Heinlein.
Same type of resolution, just asking to buy this flooring material from this existing method.
Questions? Okay. Mr. Watson.
Ms. Grace,
Aye.
Ms. Love,
Aye.
Mr. Trunke.
Aye.
I vote aye. Ms. Cooper.
Aye.
And with a vote to 5-0, the resolution passes.
Thank you. Now we will have the first reading of board policy in the 3000 series, business and non-instructional operations. Mr. Heinlein.
This is, don't be mad at me. The last policy in the 3000s that needs to be updated. This one got past us. It's BP 3280. Really only revised because of a new law that took place in 2020.
Questions, comments? Okay, so that's the first reading. So we will bring it back at the next meeting for approval. Next, we will have the first reading of board policies in the 0 series, goals, objectives, and comprehensive plans. Are you gonna handle this, Dr. Swenson?
I'll do the best I can. So there's 3 policies and ARs that are being deleted. They're no longer part of what Gamut recommends. And they refer to programs that no longer exist. And then we have 2 new policies that are updated based on the newer programs that we have. These are actually from 2019, so they're being updated. I got caught in the COVID.
Questions, comments? Okay, and then next we will do the first reading of board policy and admin regulations in the 1000 series, community relations.
All right, so this is a board policy about civility. CSBA has now created a civility policy that's tied to all of the ed code and stuff like that. Back when I first took this position, we felt that we needed to have a civility policy. And I wrote the policy based on some other examples from other districts that had also written their own. But we know that it's best practice to use what CSBA recommends because it is tied to ed code and everything like that. So that is what we're doing here with this one. And then the waivers. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that one. But it looks like it's another October 2019 update, one of the ones that we had to catch.
And the summaries were good. Any
Yeah.
questions, comments? Mr. Watson? Okay, and the last one is first reading of board policy in the 5000 series regarding students.
All right, this is an updated policy for students about hate motivated behavior. reflects more diversity and things like that in the board policy.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Okay, those will come back at the next meeting for approval. Okay, our next board meeting is on March 28th. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Thank you. Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Watson.
Thank you all.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
all.
9:10.
10. Cool.